Hey, what's up, guys? Disclosure Artist here, and this is going to be the second part of my Red Pill series, how to red pill future debt slaves or any youths that I come across. Sometimes I end up giving a ride to a student who's on their way to school in the morning, and I have an opportunity to mold a future mind. And it's not about berating them for their ignorance. Again, it's about empowering them and empowering you guys and giving you guys the tools to help other people. Help other people. Because that's exactly what they do. They pass it on. After I've spoken with a few people, they said that I was the most interesting ride they've ever had in their life. And they can't wait to blow their teachers' minds. So I often ask them if they have a favorite teacher. I build a little rapport. I tell them about the fact that my favorite teacher when I was in school was my science teacher in 7th grade. And I give them a couple questions to ask their teacher. I attack all of the core curriculum classes, science, math, history, all of it. And, in the case of the science teacher, I tell them to ask if the sun is in fact emitting heat. If we do in fact gain heat from the sun, if it is in fact in a ball of gas burning billions of miles away, a massive incandescent gas, essentially a gigantic nuclear furnace where hydrogen is built into helium, temperature of millions of degrees, then why is it that when you go into space and you get closer to it, does it get colder? That's a big hole to punch. Why is it that when you get closer to the sun, does it get colder in space if it's in fact emitting heat? And of course, I don't just give them the questions, I give them the answers too, so that when they do stump their teachers, they can be floored when the student knows the answer and they don't. Because it just tears down the giant misinformation web. And can give them a few things to think about before they just jump off that conveyor belt right into the future of slavery. The reason why is because the sun does not emit heat. It emits electromagnetic energy, which in turn interacts with the electromagnetic field of the planet Earth, which then in turn creates heat on the surface of the planet. I'll ask them, if the moon is in fact a moon, then why are we always facing the same side of it? Picture going into a roundabout in a foreign country and driving in a circle constantly while there's a person standing in the middle of the island that you're driving around, and they're constantly spinning around, facing you, waving, going hi, and they're never facing away. Well, that's a little bit suspicious behavior. That's because that's exactly what our moon is doing. So when they don't have any idea what I'm talking about, I explain to them that the moon is in a geostatic tidal lock with planet Earth. So no matter how the Earth turns, we're always facing the same side of the moon, because on the other side of the moon might as well be Manhattan. It's completely lit up. It's full of life. Amateur astronomers can see craft coming off the surface of the moon from their own balcony with their own telescope. So it's an artificial base. It's not a moon. It's been towed here tens of thousands of years ago for multiple ET races that occupy it and are constantly interacting with our planet. So that's the moon. As far as science goes, there's actually apparently 30 planets in our solar system. Most of them are cloaked. A lot of them we don't have access to. A lot of them we're secretly interacting with. Not the ones that we're told. Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto. There's a lot more than that. So I fill them in with that. When they're still on board, I let them know that once we implement the true electroplasmic physics model into the hands of the people who are qualified to run with it, we're going to see scientific breakthroughs that are hitherto undreamt of. Our history is complete nonsense. We're being completely deprived of our origins. This is the 6th buildup of humanity on Earth, supposedly. Everything's being covered up by the Smithsonian. So when they tell us we don't know where we came from, it's all hogwash. As far as mathematics, it's the rule of three, base three, Boolean logic, Zhigalkin algebra. That's the key to mathematics. Everything that Einstein was stumped in doing becomes possible once we implement that. So when they start their day off and they walk into class and they got that ammunition ready to go, each student will learn from that student, and so on and so forth, and you cause a chain reaction. And of course, at the end, I always point them to my sources, and I advise them to take everything that I give to them with a grain of salt, have their skepticals on, and do their own research. And I tell them to go to Gaia, usually, same with the Karens, very patiently. When they refute, I tell them to see the evidence for themselves. It's right there. I make sure to send them out of the car with a phone full of links. And yeah, it seems to be working so far. So let me know what happens when you guys try the same. Let's see how many minds we can free and liberate together. Till then, take care.